Hi friends, welcome to Law and Looks. No law today, just looks. This has been a highly requested video from family and friends just showing step by step how I do my makeup. So I'm gonna go through and just do my makeup and show you guys what I do without skipping over anything like I do in my Law and Looks videos sometimes. I'm gonna do a whole bunch of disclaimers here because I don't want people like coming at me. One, I am not a makeup artist. I have never taken a makeup class or anything. I just get really high amounts of anxiety and then I do my makeup to help deal with that, and that just makes me feel good. So I basically learned just by like watching YouTube videos and trial and error, and so we have my anxiety to thank for that. Number two, the way I do my makeup may or may not necessarily work for you. So one, I have oily dehydrated skin, so some of the products I use are specifically for that. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes it's like, why are you using that? You have oily skin. Well, because I bought it and now I'm using it because it still works. My face shape may not necessarily be your face shape, so where I do my contour and highlighting may not be the same place where you do your contour and highlighting. I highly recommend checking out Robert Welsh, Wayne Goss, actual people who are makeup artists and know what they are doing. I'm gonna try and let you guys know what I've learned through watching mainly Robert Welsh, but again, I'm not an expert, so just keep that in mind. The products that I'll be using are mostly part of my project pan. A lot of the products you'll be familiar with. I use them a lot in most of my videos. I was going to use the new ColourPop The Child Mandalorian Baby Yoda palette for eyes, but on second thought, I figured it would probably be better for me to use an eyeshadow palette that's more neutral and ow, one that I know how to work with a little bit more and like kind of show you guys the evolution of a full shadow look with like what goes in your crease, outer corner, etc. So I will be using original tried and tested Loarc Pro 1, which is also part of my project pan, as you can see. I've already prepped my skin. I usually just try and hydrate my skin like a very lightweight moisturizer and some chapstick, and then first things first, always have to have a face primer. So this is a little Too Faced Hangover Replenishing Face Primer sample. I mean, I think it's a fine primer. I just use it because I got it, I think, in either a subscription box. I think I got it in an Ipsy. And oftentimes I'll definitely squeeze way too much out. You don't need a lot of primer. Sorry, I keep checking to make sure that I am in focus. So the thing with oily skin is you don't want to pack it too much with a lot of product because oil breaks down makeup. That's why you have oil-based makeup cleansers. And that oil is coming from my skin. So the more stuff I have on my face, that's more for the oil to break down. Now, Robert Welsh, I'll be talking about Robert Welsh a lot, but he recommends putting a setting spray before, or I guess a setting spray after your primer, before your foundation, or something like that. I've never really done that, but then again, I actually don't wear a whole lot of makeup out. Like if I'm going out somewhere, I might do my eye makeup, but I usually keep my foundation pretty light or maybe even non-existent. Because again, for me, makeup is something I do for fun, creatively, even if my looks aren't necessarily always that creative. It's just like a fun outlet for me to do something more mechanical with my hands. So being stressed out and like going late to an event or something is not my idea of a good time while I'm trying to get my makeup done. I also haven't been to many events at all this year that I could have tried that hack out with. So another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your primer and your foundation will get along. I don't really do that too much. You probably should. The foundation I'm going to be using is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation in the shade Medium Sand. I really like this foundation. It's buildable. It makes my skin look so beautiful. It's kind of like skin-like your face but better. It is annoying that it comes in this like really hard to use dropper situation, but we make it work. And then you guys have seen me do this. I just kind of like dot it around on my face. Sometimes I'll like actually use my fingers to sort of start spreading it. And then you gotta make sure you get the neck. I also don't do a whole lot of foundation. Start with less and then you can always build. It's harder to take off extra makeup. It's easier to put on more. The other thing is I avoid right under my eyes because my concealer will go there, and the more product I pack in under my eyes, the more likely it is to crease, and I have like creasy under eyes anyway. So foundation is kind of blotted on. Then I take a damp beauty blender and I just blend everything out. It's more like kind of pushing into my skin, but also making sure that I have fully even coverage. I also learned recently that you're supposed to throw out your beauty blender, your beauty blender every 3 months, which like, I'm sorry, that's not happening. I've had this beauty blender for years, which I know is gross, okay? I understand that. But I'm also not going to be paying $20 every 3 months for a new beauty blender. That's not happening. Also, I know that there are cheaper versions out there, but I've tried a whole bunch, and the OG beauty blender is the only one that seems to work the best for me. The rest are like too silicone-y or too soft. It doesn't work the same. So I gave up. So I have blended out my foundation. Next, this is something that I started doing over the summer, and it's mostly because I have this product. I feel like if I didn't have this product, I wouldn't do it. But next I do concealer, and what I do is I have this Pretty Vulgar concealer in the shade, it says Undercover 63, the middle ground. I use this one under my eyes because it's got a little bit of a peachy pink tint to it. It's just slightly peachy, and that helps with kind of dark circles, etc. So I just like to pop it in right there, and like, again, not a lot. And then what I do is I go in with my Tarte Shape Tape concealer in the shade medium. I think this is a little too warm for me. They have numbers now, and I think I should be like the neutral version of this, and this is the warmer version, but that's okay. I'm also running out of this. I just swipe it like kind of this 1 inch right before where I would put contour, and I'll tell you guys how I figure out where to put my contour, but just kind of here, and then I swipe a little down like that just to kind of get the basic coverage. Oh, I should also mention, this is my full glam face that I do for photo shoots and when I'm doing a YouTube video. Like, it looks good with a ring light. This in real life looks like a heavy set of makeup. Even with the medium to buildable coverage, it still looks like a lot of makeup. So just keep that in mind. If you guys want to like tone it down, it's very easy to tone this stuff down. Just put less. Or sometimes you could get away with just doing concealer and like nothing else, or like you don't have to put foundation everywhere. And then I have this like small sponge, which is dirty, oops, but I like to do that under my eyes. Oh, but first I like to let the concealer under my eyes sit for a little bit. It warms up to my face. I get like slightly fuller coverage that way. Make sure to only do that with a concealer that doesn't like dry down right where you put it, because then it's harder to blend. So my concealer, I did the 2 cheeks and then up my nose, and then slightly, oh, my computer has an update for me, slightly just on the forehead, like a small tree. So then once all that is blended out, then I go in with my under eyes and this sponge is like from Hank and Henry, I think. I got it in a BoxyCharm, but it works really well. This is dry. This is a dry sponge. You get a little bit fuller coverage with this. Apparently, I don't really notice a difference if it's dry or wet, so. And then I blend out what's under my eye, just under my eye. I just take it, what's here, I like take it to the rest of the under eye and then just kind of keep it there. Sometimes I bring it a little bit up into the inner corner, and that's it. Same thing on the other side. And then I have really creasy under eyes, meaning that if I just like let this be, my under eyes will crease like crazy. So I literally like hold my face like this just so that the under eye part remains flat. And then what I do is I take foundation brush. This is the Luxie 732 Airbrush foundation brush. It's a very old brush and it's starting to shed, but I love it. My right eye has decided to be extra creasy today. And then I take my Loarc Pro contour palette. There's a beige highlight and a yellow highlight. Just depending on the day, I go for a different one. I don't really see the difference between the two. So today we're gonna go with yellow highlight, tap off excess, and then just set it under the eyes. Sometimes to get like properly under the eyes, I'll like go on the side of the brush, pull some, and then get it right under. And then I kind of relax and let my eyes crease. And you know what? It's fine. Nobody's really looking that hard at your under eyes. And all those Instagram pictures and stuff that you see of like the flawless face, that's all photoshopped. It's, you have skin texture, you have wrinkles, you have creasing. That's a thing. And there's no need to be ashamed about it. It's your skin. And it's beautiful. Okay, and then I take either the beige or the yellow highlight. Again, I'll go into beige this time. And everywhere that I did concealer, I'll just put a little bit of powder there. You can also do this with like a loose setting powder. I have like some banana setting powders that I do this with. I also do not bake. It doesn't work for me. It does absolutely nothing. So no baking for me. The other thing I will say about, I really like the Lorac Pro contour palette because, I mean, if you look at it, I can use both of the highlighting shades, 2 of the contouring shades, and the shimmer highlight I can also use. I don't really use it, but I can use it. So the only thing out of the 6 shades that I can't use on my face is the deep contour, which makes sense. In general, contour, like face palettes like this, don't make sense because you really only need to find the 2 shades that work for you, the highlighting shade and the contouring shade, and you should just pull those. But because I can use 5 out of the 6 shades, I'm not mad about this. But again, this is like probably a once in a blue moon find. Like, just get the shades that are appropriate for you. The next step, a loose finishing powder. This is a tinted finishing powder. It's the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 20 Light Medium. So I just kind of shake a little out. I got this powder poof. You can actually see me using it for the first time on one of my Just Looks videos where I'm like, powder before foundation. That's the first time I used it. I actually really like it. This one is also from Beauty Blender. So I just dab a little. So got some powder out. I dab a little. And then there's powder on the poof. And then I dab it onto my hand to get excess off. And then wherever I didn't put the highlighting powder, I do like a very thin, well, I did put highlighting powder there, but I try and do a very thin layer of this setting powder. Very, very thin layer. Now, some people, this will look cakey on. Definitely if you put too much, you'll definitely look cakey. I just like this because, one, I really like this powder. It also lasts forever, but this just kind of takes away that like greasy looking sheen, I feel like, and puts a nice little filter over my face. I know that there are other setting powders that also do this really, really well. I've just had this one for so long, and when it finishes, I will try a new one. And then I just take any excess and put it all on my neck. After I'm done with that, now I move on to eyes. Now, some people will do their eyes before they do their face makeup. I like doing my foundation and my base first and then doing my eyes, and then anything that I mess up, I'll like put concealer over, except for the few times when I try and do like a very big eye look or something. For today, we'll just do it the normal way. Some people don't believe in eye primer. I 100% believe in eye primer. I'm using the Lorac Behind the Scenes eye primer. I think I got it with my Lorac Pro eyeshadow palette. So I just take a little bit, again, don't want to overload, and eye primer really helps with creasing, and I just put it on all over my lid and kind of up to my brow bone. Now I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit, warm up to my skin, and I'm going to do my tight line, which is your waterline except like under your top lashes. And I really like the Lakme Eyeconic Kajal. I don't think they sell it in the US. I always get like 500 of these in India and then bring them over because I love it so much. So this is like not real good for your eyelid skin, but I just kind of like pull it up and then I know there's a way that people do it that like they look up and like I can't do that. Tight line is done. Next I'm gonna do my brows. Now as I've mentioned before, I don't really do my brows, I just do a brow tint. So right now I'm gonna use the Mellow tinted brow gel. I actually don't really like this brow gel, and that's literally only because of the application spoolie. I prefer like a little comb that combs through your brows. I just kind of run the spoolie through, make sure that I kind of fill in the sparse parts at the front of my brow. I like the shape of my brows. I don't want to change it. Now with brows and anything like eye related, if I make a mistake, I think I'm okay right now, but sometimes I do mess up, like a lot. I will go in with a really thin brush like this. I don't know, my camera's not gonna focus on it, but a really thin brush like this. This is the Luxie 221 Flat Definer Flat Definer brush, and I'll just like kind of dip this in a little bit of my Tarte concealer and just like go in and fix anything that needs to be fixed. My eye primer has kind of sat on my face a little bit. It's like dried down a little bit, but it's still tacky, which is exactly what you want. And now I'm gonna go in with my Loarc Pro 1, and I'm going to take a big fluffy eyeshadow brush. All my eyeshadow brushes are dirty. I apologize for that, but that's what we're working with, so that's what's going to happen. This is the Luxie 229 Tapered Blending Brush. Actually, I want a bigger. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is the Farrah brand Blender Brush 25EL, and it's like, it's big and floofy, and I'm gonna go in with light pink. Hold your eyeshadow brushes at the back as if you're holding a paintbrush, and you just dip. Don't dip the sides, literally dip the top of the brush into the eyeshadow. Tap off any excess. I go light to dark and then I do my lid. So I go light to dark in my crease and then I do my lid and inner corner and outer corner and all that jazz. So with light pink, I kind of just put it above my crease, like all the way up to my brows, a little bit down. So I don't set my eyes because I find that that defeats the purpose of the primer. So I just kind of put this in, and light pink barely shows up on my skin tone, but I do think it gives a little bit of softness when I start going in with some darker colors. Other side, same thing. Then I go in with the Luxie 231 Small Tapered Blending Brush, and I go in to the shade Mauve. And this is just slightly smaller than that big brush, so you'll see it'll blend out still above and below the crease, but less so than that light pink. And it'll start to give more of a shape to my eyes. And basically my technique is, I have no technique, but I'll do kind of this windshield wiper motion to move the color, and then I'll do this circular motion. Sometimes I'll move while doing circles to blend it. And if I want to blend it in place, I'll just stay in one spot and just do circles there. So that's mauve on this eye and just light pink on this eye. So you guys may or may not have noticed, and this will come into play a little bit later as well, but my eyes are, this eye, if you can tell, this eye has an extra fold. So you can see there's like this extra fold here which doesn't exist here. So if I raise this eyebrow, that fold doesn't completely go away, but it goes away a little bit. But I generally like to work with this eye a little bit better. It's a little bit easier for me to handle. Still learning how to figure out this eye. Also, eyeliner is really annoying because that fold. The other thing is, you know, take your time blending. No need to rush the process. Next, I go with an even smaller brush. This is the Luxie 121 Mini Tapered Brush. So with that, I go in with a slightly darker shade called Taupe. Again, hold your brush at the end, lightly pick up color on your brush, tap off the excess. This I'm gonna put directly in my crease, and I just literally, I start in the middle and I just like stick it in the middle, and then I pull it out and in, and just like really get into the crease. I mean, carefully. Don't like poke your eyeball out, but I just get in there, and this is really just to deepen that crease. A lot of makeup is just playing with light and shadows, and your crease is kind of it's a shadow area, so you make it a little bit darker to make your lid pop. The other thing is, while I try and do my makeup, usually I try to keep my face as like neutral and natural as possible, because I'm not going out into the world like this, right? Like, no, my face is gonna be like this. So when I do my makeup, I want to make sure that it's going in the places where my face is neutral and it looks correct, like that. And blending takes a minute, so just, you know, like I said, take your time. Sometimes I do get impatient. If I get super impatient, what I'll do is and sometimes this is actually like helpful, I'll take one of the floofier brushes, but this is one of the bigger brushes, and I'll just kind of blend it all together just to kind of soften it up a little bit. Let me just quickly do the other side and I'll be back. So I've got taupe on both sides, and then I go in with my main lid color, which I usually use gold. As you can see, it's almost done. So usually I use my finger. You'll see me using my finger a lot on a lot of my videos, but because gold is like, my finger can't get in there, so I will use a flat, technically a concealer brush, but I think this is an Alamar Cosmetics brush, but the name has worn off. But it's basically, it's your standard concealer brush. My camera does not autofocus. And then I just dip into gold. And then I just pack that all over my lid, like literally all over. I'll like go up to the crease. Oh my goodness, my little pennant fell. Probably makes sense because I just have tried to hold it up with some Scotch tape. Okay. That's gold all over one eye. Will you stick back on? Do the other eye real quick, and then I'll be back. So that's gold on both eyes. Sometimes I'll put light bronze in the middle just to like brighten it up a little bit. You can also do just like a 2 or even a 1 shade look, like just put a shimmer on or a matte. Those are also very popular nowadays. Or like you could just put mauve or taupe in the crease and like gold all over the lid. Very simple, very easy to do. There's no need to like go through this whole rigmarole, but if you want to, you can. And then again, I sometimes do this, sometimes don't, but just for the purposes of this, I'm going to do it. Brush is also very dirty. Oops, that's falling again. Whatever. Okay. Where was I? Sometimes I'll do this, sometimes I won't. And that is to darken the outer V or the outer corner. I like to use pewter or dark purple for that. So today we'll just keep going with pewter because it's already got a pan in it. Dip it in a little bit. Just like very gently. I'll follow the line from like my outer, from my lash line. I'll just like kind of pull it up gently, and then I'll bring it into the crease. And then I'll kind of like fill in the gap right at the end of my eye. Like just right like the 1 like centimeter at the outside. Make sure that the bit in the crease is blended okay. Just want to make sure that my blending is well done. So if you can see, this one has pewter on the outer V. This one does not. Just kind of like gives it that more smoky kind of look. So outer V done with pewter on both eyes. Next up, I highlight the inner corner and under my brow. So I take like a small brush. This is the Luxie 111 mini flat angled brush. So a lot of brushes, I like don't know what they're for. I just use them for what I think they're good for. And then I go in with nude. I use this, sometimes I'll pull out this Lorac palette just to highlight my eyes with. And I just put it in the inner corner, literally right here. And it just kind of like brightens your eye a little bit, makes you look a little bit more awake. And then to highlight my brows. So a lot of people use concealer to highlight their brows. I just use powder. A lot of things I just use powder for. I don't know if this is right or not, but this is what I do. I do a mix of champagne and white. So I put those two together. So what I'll do is with the same brush, because I don't want to change brushes, I'll dip into champagne and put that right under my eyebrow, like kind of right on the brow bone, and then I'll dip into white. Always tap off excess. And I'll just kind of put that on top, and then that's it. Last step with this eyeshadow palette is I take a pencil brush. This is also from Farrah 105E pencil. So it's just like a small pencil brush. And I dip into the shade Sable and I just put that on my lower lash line. Okay, and I think that's eyeshadow all done. I'm very prone to forgetting things, so I'm gonna have to come back to it, but I think we're done with the eyeshadow palette. After eyeshadow, generally go in with eyeliner. Today I'm using the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner. It's a little sample size mini shaker up. So I'm really bad at wings. I'm going to attempt one, but I'm generally pretty bad at them. The thing with a wing is you just gotta do it. No hesitation. And it's preferable to have an eyeliner that's not drying out. But, you know, here we are. I just now realized that I probably should have zoomed you guys in closer so you can actually see what I'm doing on my eyes. Okay, this eyeliner is drying out. Just gotta wing it. Just do it. Okay, I'm gonna go check this eyeliner. And okay, I'm back. Now we're going to be using the KVD tattoo liner. None of the proceeds now go to Kat Von D, so I'm okay using this brand. So my issue with this eye is that I have that extra fold. So I actually have to do my eyeliner differently on this side than just like winging it like normal, like I did on this one. So instead what I do is I join the wing with the fold intact. And I do the rest of my liner like usual. Then we get to the part where it connects to the wing. I slope up for the wing. And then when I kind of close my eyes or I raise my eyebrow, there's like a little bit of a gap between like where the fold was and where like the rest of the wing keeps going. So I just kind of connect it as best I can. Sometimes it's a straight line, sometimes it's a little bit of a C. It's really dependent on what my eyeball has decided to do that day. That's it. That's my winged liner. I think this one's a little bit skinnier than this one. Yep. It definitely is, but whatever. We're just gonna roll with it. Yeah, my lighting is like much better like this. Why was it so dark, so close to my face? Anyway. Okay, so now I've done eyes, but I'm going to be using the Wander Beauty Unlashed mascara. The name is gone. I will find it on the internet and link it below, but also been actively trying to pan this. I think I'm almost done with it, but I just kind of wiggle from the roots to the top. Oh, I forgot to curl my lashes. Oh well. Do my bottom lashes. Some people have like mascara wands for their bottom lashes. I do not. This is actually a pretty nice mascara. It's not my favorite mascara, but also speaking of favorites, would you guys want me to do a favorites of 2020, my favorite products that I use? If that's something that you are into, let me know. Drop it in the comments. I will certainly oblige, because there are certain products that I absolutely love. Oh, and my camera's dying. Okay, let me charge that real quick. Okay, so my battery is only like partially charged, but I'm impatient and it's almost 9 o'clock and I haven't eaten dinner and I am hungry, so I'm just gonna try and finish this really quickly. Just finished the eyes, so now we're gonna go into contouring. And again, I'm using my Loarc Pro contour palette. As you can see, I have used the light contour and the medium contour. Almost done with the medium contour. You guys have also seen me do this on like my Lawn Looks videos where like I kind of go in with my big brush and then I stipple blend it out. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do. Oftentimes you'll see me using this big giant brush and I'll dip in and I'll just like kind of make some lines, and those lines are very specifically placed. Instead of going in with this big brush, I'm gonna go in with this smaller brush that I usually do to contour my nose, and this will just give me a little bit more, it'll be a little bit more precise. And once I explain what I do and how I do it, this actually is better for contouring purposes, for me at least, but because I'm lazy I like to go in with the big one and then just blend it out. So actually, you know what, I'll do this small one on one side and I'll do the big one on the other side just to show you guys the difference. Light or medium contour, so it depends on how I'm feeling that day, how like deep I want my contour to look. I think today I'm gonna go in with medium contour. I just kind of dip my brush in. Again, I'm holding it from the back, tap off any excess, and then I got this tip from Robert Welch. So basically what I do is I look in the mirror, I tilt my head kind of down, and then I see where the shadows on my face appear. So if I look directly at, I'm gonna look in my monitor, if I look directly at the camera, I have some shadows you can see there's a shadow that appears right here. Same thing on the other side. If I look in my mirror and down, find the shadow and just closest to the hairline, a little bit of a line, and then you can blend it out in those same kind of little circles that you would do on your eyes, you do with your contour as well, and you just blend that out. And then you can bring it further down depending on how you want your contour to look, but you find that shadow. Look in the mirror, look down, like tilt your head down slightly, your chin down, find the shadow. So I'm gonna do that on the other side. See, you can already see it, it's right there. I haven't put any makeup on. And the more you do it, the more easily you'll be able to see it. So sometimes I'll take my big giant brush if I'm feeling particularly lazy or I want to get it done faster. This is the Luxie 680 Pro Precision face brush. Right where the shadow is, I'll just make a line going upward, and then it makes that kind of big situation, and I'll just go whoop. I'll just even out this side and do the same thing. And I like to pull it down to about here. So I have that part, and then I'll also go ahead and I'll do just up at my hairline. So you're creating shadows here. So there are lots of guides on the internet to kind of help you figure out like what your face shape is and where you should contour. One, I put a lot, not a lot, but like I put a decent amount on my forehead because I don't like how big my forehead is. Bringing the contour down a little bit gives the illusion that my forehead is slightly smaller. And then I also just do it around my face, just on the outskirts, just to kind of round out this part a little bit. And then also to sculpt the jawline, less about the double chin situation, more about just making sure that my face doesn't kind of go into my neck. Just underneath right here. Sometimes I'll accidentally go up here, that's okay, just take my still slightly damp beauty blender and kind of blend it out. Same thing on the other side. And then I do use this for nose contouring. I don't use that big brush because it's too big, I find. And I start, okay, so my nose, I want my nose to be proportional to my face, but I still want to define it. And my nose in particular gets wide. It starts relatively okay here and it gets wide as it goes down. So I want like right in the middle here and here, I want to pull it in just a little bit. So I will start my contour on my nose right in the middle because that's where most of the contour will go, and then brush any of the excess to the tip and up. And then what I like to do is whatever excess there is, I'll bring it all the way up to the brow. Lots of people don't think this is wrong. I think Robert Welsh says that that's wrong, but whatever. It works for me, so it's fine. People will have different opinions and will tell you all different things. You do what works for you. Other side of the nose. And then I'll take this big brush, the Luxie 532 Round Top Blender, and I'm going to blend out my contour. Because I have oily skin, I have like really big pores, and it doesn't like makeup, and my big pores don't like it when I drag a lot. So what I do is kind of this like stippling blending motion sort of. And it seems to, I think that's what it's called, but this seems to work the best for me personally. And then also the bronzer or the contour that you put under your jawline, make sure to blend it out. Don't just have like a line. Okay. So next we have bronzer, and bronzer is kind of like a warmer toned contour, and I just use it to kind of bring some life back into my face. So it's like, because contour is very cool toned, some like gray tones, and I've just mattified and made my face just look like all one color, so bronzer kind of brings back that life. Contour, bronzer, and blush, you don't have to do all three of them. You could do 1, 2, or 3 of them. You could do none of them, whatever floats your boat. But everything that the technique that I'm doing, I think works regardless of whether you do 1, 2, or 3 of them. I kind of like follow the same template, so to speak, of up, and I do some of my forehead, and that kind of like, no, even if you don't use contour, you can contour using your bronzer and or your blush without actually using contour if that scares you, which is totally fine. So I'm using the YC Collection matte bronzer in the shade Caramelo, and this is a small angled type looking brush from R&L Moda Studio. So I just dip, get some bronzer on there, tap off excess, and then I do it right on top of my contour. And like a little bit above, but like basically right on top of my contour with that same sort of stippling motion. And then I also do just the side of my forehead, and I connect it near my hairline. So I basically make like a small little sort of like a C. And basically what you want if you're doing all three is like a gradient of contour, bronzer, blush, highlighter. But not like so stark that you look like a Neapolitan ice cream, as Wayne Goss once put it. And then I just put some bronzer right on top of the contour on the top of my head, and I look a little bit more sculpted. Next, I'm going to use the Benefit Cosmetics Hervana blush. I've had this blush for literally ever. This blush is literally never ending. So I'm using the Alamar Cosmetics Complexion brush. This is like a bigger angled fluffy brush compared to that bronzer brush. And I just dip in, get some of that nice pinky pigment, tap off excess. This I don't do obviously directly on top of the bronzer, but I will do it like half on the bronzer, half above it. I don't do that. That will make, because when you smile and do it, and then you drop the smile for like your normal natural state, your cheeks drop. See, they're up here, and then they come down. They come down. So don't put it on the apple of your cheeks. Put it in that same type of way that I put the bronzer and the contour on. And I kind of just like build until I'm happy with it. I do the same thing, and I actually bring my blush up to where my bronzer is. So I will like mix it with my bronzer just a little bit, because I feel like that's more, like that looks more realistic, so to speak, because bronzer is kind of like where the sun touches you. So if the sun is warming a particular place on your face, it'll likely also make it a little bit red. And you can do this without any bronzer at all, and like you're basically contouring your face using blush. There is one thing you walk away with from this video. I think this is the most helpful tidbit I can give you. This little blush trick. Now, of course, if you want to be like the young TikTokers, you can go this way. Still angle your blush, even if you're doing like the thing across your face, still angle it up. Don't angle it to the apple of your cheeks. Okay, and my camera's yelling at me that I am almost out of battery again. Next is the Fenty Beauty Hustler Baby highlighter. I take a big fluffy brush, the Luxie 522 tapered highlighter. So it's like a tapered fluffy brush. This diffuses it out a little bit better. And I'll just put that right on my cheekbone, right at the top of the blush. Like I said, gradient. You don't want harsh lines. You want everything well blended. And then because I'm oily, I don't do highlighter right in the middle of my forehead, but I'll do it on the two sides. And here, again, you're playing with the light. So to figure out where your highlighter goes, you just move your face around and see where the light hits it. And that's where your highlighter goes. Usually I find that to be right around the cheekbone area, sort of half on the blush, half above. And then I will take a smaller, more concentrated brush. This is another RL Moda Pro. It's a really tiny angled brush, and I'll do that, and I'll put it right at the top of my nose, skip the middle, and then right at the tip. Whatever's left over on my cupid's, right above my cupid's bow and on my chin. Last, but absolutely not least, is lipstick. Today I'm using the Bite Beauty Chai. This is like a mini boy. I think it was a birthday gift at Sephora one year or something. I'm usually only into lip liners when I'm using a liquid lip, because those tend to feather out a little bit more, not with bullet lipsticks. Yeah, my camera is dying, so I'm just gonna end this really quickly, but that's how I do my makeup. This is the finished look. Sometimes I'll put a lip gloss on, sometimes not. It's all really dependent on how I'm feeling that day. Let me know what you guys think. Is this helpful at all? I will definitely be linking all of the products below, and I'll put timestamps so that you can like find things more easily. I guess I should have said that in the beginning of the video, that everything will be timestamped, but you'll see that in the description box. And I hope to be back with a Law and Looks for you very soon. My job recently started, so I'm a little bit busy, but I'll get to it for sure because I'm excited. I have some fun cases lined up, and yeah, that is it. Thank you very, very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, but if you do not feel like doing that, that is absolutely fine. There is no pressure at all. Just very happy you made it all the way to the end of this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you all next time. Bye!